Welcome to Mended Men's Conversation, life lessons and legacies, where real men have real conversations. In every episode, we dive deep into the struggles, victories, and lessons that shape us as men. From mental health and fatherhood to faith, identity, and purpose, we are breaking the silence and starting the conversations that matter. Between us is over 12 years of professional experience and more than 140 years of combined life experience as fathers, sons, brothers, husbands, friends, and educators. We know that healing starts with an honest dialogue. So let's get real. Let's get ready. Let's grow together. This is Mended Men's Conversation.
All right.
Here we go. This is Mended Men's Conversation. I'm Titus Garnett.
And I'm Anthony Washington.
We're just a couple of old dudes, just like we're talking in your basement, in the barbershop, just having conversations about the subject of today. And mainly a lot of our subject matter is based on the relationship of men with men, society, what's going on in the world today, what's going on into the United States today. This is a small world, all right? When we used to say that when you was young, they said, oh, it's a small, small world. It never really thought about it until today when in the modern times, what's happening on the other side of the world, we pretty much pick it up instantaneously. So we are in the neighborhood 24/7 all the time. The subject for today is, are we our own worst enemy? Now, Anthony, I'm looking at that as not just man to man, or black to white, or our relationship in this country, or the country itself. Is it its own worst enemy? And our relationship to this country, to the world. Are we the enemy to ourselves? And do the world see us as a problem, and which we are causing ourselves? One more statement.
How's
This
that?
is not a therapy session. Just two men having conversation, all right? What I mean by that is we have a certain arrogance in this country. Other countries see it. There used to be a term called the ugly American, all right? And that was due to our arrogance of how we saw other people as though they were beneath us, or everything we did was right. What y'all doing is incorrect. Why you do that? Why you eat that? We don't eat that. We do this. We eat this. How come you can't eat this? In other words, our culture was better than your culture. All right. And what I'm saying that we were our own worst enemy is that that arrogance caused us to not just look stupid to other people's, but sometimes when we take a good look at ourselves, we look kind of stupid to ourselves. And like what's going on in this country today, all right, how we look at immigration. But the only two cultures here, that weren't immigrants were the blacks and the Native Americans. And then everybody else, hell, you created a situation. Now, we, our own worst enemies, also can be looked at to the Constitution. The more and more we go on with Orange Aid in the office, we're starting to realize, and I hear a lot of things, regarding the Constitution, that the Constitution basically were made for white men and not for anybody else, and not even women. But we took it and we ran with it. I mean, everybody else, they didn't know what they were writing. So what they thought they was doing good was actually turning against them.
My thing of it is that, I agree with what you're saying. You can't be considered, I would consider us, kind of a backward. What would you call that? You first said that.
Are we our own worst
Yeah,
enemy?
we are our own worst enemy. Most especially when you have leaders that have no consideration of other people. In that aspect, we are our own worst enemy, because anybody that follows him, and there's a lot of people that do follow him and think the world of him, because I think we talk about it a lot. Most of the ones that do follow him and support him, they 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 feel that he's best thing since sliced bread, which is a lie. But you learn that everybody entitled to their own opinion, and that's where I have to believe it. They entitled to their own opinion because it doesn't make sense for me sitting around there trying to convince another person that Taco Man is off his rocker. But I see it, and I know other places see it, and other people see it. But sometimes you just have people that ignore the fact what reality really is, and what they do is they create their own reality, what they think it should be. We are an arrogant country with this guy in leadership, very arrogant. Do think that we're better than the next person, but that thinking is, how can I say, it's old. It's real old because there's a lot of other countries might not have as much as money as we have. But when it comes to smartness, education, or just common sense, I believe they have it. Well, that's my opinion. I believe they have it. And what we have shown in the last 2 years, we don't function with common sense. We're very arrogant, that everybody's supposed to bow down to us. I don't know. Perfect example. I was reading the day before we got started where a judge overturned Taco Man's name on the Kennedy Center. He said that was illegal. And then they was taking that down. And
Right.
I feel like after a while, most of the things that we are going through, these are the after effects of it. Somebody kind of like woke up and, started smelling the coffee, said, nah, this shit ain't right. And actually had a backbone and spoke up. That's what I believe that we would start seeing down the road. But Taco Man has a tendency to, he start one thing and then he do something else crazy. And then he do something else crazy. And I believe that's just a plot to keep you off track of what he's doing. I think that's all that is. And we have to be smarter than that. You have to stay focused on what's at hand, can do, and not get caught up in this whirlwind of emotions that, he's going through, or some of the stuff this country is going through. Crazy said, I say we have to find some kind of way where we can separate our emotions country is going through. And I know that might sound crazy, but that's just my belief. Just because they are making a lot of asinine decisions, don't mean that I have to take it to heart, and allow that to stress me out.
That arrogance which we have, where does it come from? I believe a lot of it comes from the idea that we're like young Turks in a gang. We're the new gang on the street. We only been around for 250 years, and look at all that we have amassed. Look at all the power and weaponry and stuff we have amassed in just 250 years, when the majority of the rest of the world has been around for thousands, hundreds and thousands of years, way longer than we have.
So
And
we
that
the new
arrogance,
kid on the block.
and I could tell you, new kid on the block, we're the new young Turks, we're the new gang up the street, okay? And let's look at it and take it to another country that had kind of like a short-lived existence. Take England. England probably had a much longer existence than we have, but I think they came within themselves probably in about the 11th century, maybe 10th, 11th century. All right. And then they stopped being powerful in the world in the 1800s, 16, 17, 1800s. And when they had a saying that the sun never sets on the British Empire. All right. So they were walking around eating their oats thinking they were big shit. But then again, they lost all that. People started fighting back. People started to resist them. And I think we're going through that right now. But the difference of us is that it's really causing a problem. We are more a variety of people than any other nation on this earth. But we still try to make it a white cultural setting. And the white folks didn't have no culture. They stole everybody else's culture.
Yes, sir.
All right. And they took it for themselves. One of the biggest fear that they have is their young people. They have attached themselves to the black young people. Look at all the little things we've done in entertainment that is just transformed around the world. All right. And we'll just say hip hop. just that alone is just worldwide.
It's true.
And you've got bands and groups in Korea, Japan, China. You can go online and see a group of China people dancing all hip hopish, this, that, and whatever. Where did they get that from? Xi Jinping sure didn't give it to them. All right. So it's that small world. So if we use, and we had a great reputation for change, even though our stubbornness at time was looked upon with somewhat respect. But then again, the lie is coming to the forefront. The lie is coming to the forefront. And part of that lie is the Constitution.
Explain yourself.
And where we're fighting for
Explain
it,
yourself when you say the Constitution.
the Constitution was not written for us.
Sure.
The white man basically wrote it for himself. All right. When you start digging into it and you start digging into the history of the people involved, Thomas Paine, who wrote I can't think of it anyway, Benjamin Franklin, Monroe, Washington. Washington believed during the Revolutionary War and everything that blacks could not fight next to white soldiers. He didn't want blacks fighting next to white soldiers. All right. And Britain, the British governor, or when Britain surrendered to the United States, the U.S. tried to say that all the blacks who joined the army or was a part of the loyalist regime, they would have to go back to their slave masters, to their slave owners. Washington wanted that. Well, why? Because he was a slave owner. But the British general or governor, whoever signed the treaty, he said, no way, we're not going to do that, because they had a rule that if any blacks joined the British loyalists, the army party, or army, I should say, they were automatically free. They weren't slaves anymore, you know. And history, the problem with history is
It never tells the truth.
never tells the truth, but we've been hoodwinked under history. We was only told
What you wanted to know.
what they wanted us to know, what we needed, all what we needed to be on their side, to be good little patriots and citizens and this and that, you know. And the more I listen and the more I read, the more I pay attention, it's just shocking that I have to look at myself and say, man, you got to this point in your life, this age in your life, and you didn't know shit.
So true.
You didn't know a damn thing. And now, you know, this education, this awakening is, wow, it's blowing my natural born
It's a
mind.
mind blowing.
And it is. And a lot of that information is not just coming from black historians, it's coming from white historians.
Mm-hmm.
And they just telling the real deal of what's going on. And it makes me angry to think that we've got people, black people, fighting to maintain the status quo.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, I mean, there's always a house Negro out there telling the people in the fields, you better not run away. I'm going to tell master. You know, like that. What's the name of that judge on the Supreme Court? I can't think of his name right now. Coonhead
Clarence.
Clarence, I think
Clarence
they call him. Anyway, yeah. So him and some of these black Republican congressmen or politicians, and they'll do anything to justify maintaining their position as a house Negro.
But you're always going to have that. I mean,
oh yeah. Oh no, I'm not denying
that's the
that.
sad thing
It's
about
just the idea that the white folks use them as an example of what a good old boy should be.
See,
And they say, yes, sir, that's a good old boy.
I believe that, you know, sometimes.
And one more thing. Let me say one more
Okay.
thing. And the guy who is the senator from South Carolina, I can't think of his name, the brother, and he talks about how his mother was a hard worker. She was, I think she ironed clothes or worked people's houses or this or that. My mother struggled and this and that. And I got proud and my mother made me proud. Made you proud to be what? A house Negro? Is that what you bragging about? Your mother worked like a damn near Hebrew slave and you came out to brag about your mother and you ain't got a damn thing to brag about yourself. You're just a house Negro. Okay, I'm sorry, man, but go ahead, knock it out, my
No,
brother.
I was sitting. I closed my eyes. I had to think about what you were saying. What you were saying is so true. It's sad but true. We have to reach to those extents just to be accepted. I mean, because I grew up, I had a lot of faith in the Constitution. I thought that's what we're supposed to live by. But like you said, it was not written for blacks or people of color. It was basically written for
Right,
whites. I mean,
right,
because when you have to
yeah.
add the 14th Amendment, I mean, just,
Right, to
you
vote?
know,
I mean, the vo
I mean,
yeah,
but the bottom line of it,
and
go ahead, go ahead.
then you gotta vote on it every certain time. Then you gotta reinstitute it, you gotta re-vote it
Yeah.
on it, the right to vote, the voting, what you call it, addendum. You gotta add stuff to it. Don't make no
I mean,
sense.
because the bottom line of it is, regardless of whatever color you are, your behind hole point to the ground. We all human beings.
Yeah.
Before you any color, race, creed, whatever you want to call it, you're a human being. And when we start separating people because we feel like we're superior, we're off track. We are absolutely lost our way, because now it's no longer, again, as you said last week, um, I do have, I went back and I went and got the choir and the band to support me today. So
Wow, I didn't think you could think that far back.
yeah, I can. So when I start, I got backup, you know, you know, how is it that another human being feel like you're more superior than another human being? It's about just respect, you know. But you have, I'm gonna just say, Taco Man and his friends. They have a warped perception of what this world's supposed to be like, how people should be treated. Fair exchange ain't no robbery. You can dog people out just for so long. They're just not gonna put up with it. And history has a way of repeating itself. So all this insane shit they doing now, they doing this because this is the only way
Well,
they could feel comfortable in their own skin.
Anthony, I think one of the way history repeats itself is because you never found the truth the first time out, and people wanted to keep in your head what they think it's supposed to
The
be.
truth.
You think about what we gone through. We went through
Enslavement.
slavery,
Enslavement.
1619. We went through enslavement. All right. Then we went through after the war. Then we had the Jim Crow. Then we had, and each time we had to go through, we going through it again right now because we never really, really understood or had the true effect of the beginning of slavery. I didn't hear about chattel slavery or really understood it until now. Whereas before, you just thought slavery was slavery. And somebody would say, oh, every culture, everybody has slavery. So it's all the same. No, the slavery they had here was really completely different and outlandish than any other type of slavery you could really put up in history. I mean, and even after you was considered free, they hung you from a tree, skinned you, cut off your nuts, all right? Put you over a pit and cooked you or burned you and had a picnic while they were doing it.
Yeah.
It didn't matter if it was kids or
Don't forget the
babies.
fact that when they did do that, they brought their kids. It's like you're going
Yeah,
to a fair.
a picnic.
Thank you. Going to a picnic. You actually indoctrinating kids on how you treat another human being. That's the sick. That's the
Yeah.
sick thinking that this country has
And
adopted to and want to bring that forward again. But ain't nobody saying it for this shit. And people
a lot
they
of this,
fighting every tooth and nail for and you know something, it may not be happening right now, but this line of thinking is not just directed towards it's directed, I'm not gonna say all white people.
right.
Yeah, because there are some white people that have a soul and believe the fact you treat each human being the way you want to be treated. That's a simple rule. You can't think I can't walk
Mm-hmm.
around here and disrespect you because I think I live in California. Now, how insane do that shit sound? That shit sound insane.
Yeah.
But that's the way they think, and that's what they want to recreate. Well, they're in the process of trying their best to recreate it, but ain't nobody fine. I believe there's no one out there falling for that type of thinking. This ideology they have, who you should be and what you should do, you have the right to disagree with somebody. I mean, don't mean that they're a bad person, but you agree with everybody, and when you find somebody that, disagree with you and they take it personal, I would suggest keep it moving because you're not having a conversation. This person wants to
Yeah.
absolutely, totally dictate to you what you should be thinking and how you should be acting. And that sounds
Yeah.
ludicrous, absolutely crazy, because another man, I could tell you my opinion, and that's all it is, my opinion. And we're not as,
Well,
I'm gonna say this, we're not as, I'm gonna say backwards as they want us, as they think we are, because a lot of, and even back in that time when enslavement people was, they really was. I'm not gonna say I don't believe that they were stupid. They understood what they had to go through. So to actually survive, some of them had to go alone to get along, and I believe that's where some of us got to the point where we wanted to believe so bad that, if I do the right thing, you're gonna accept me. They ain't gonna accept me. If you can't accept me for the way I am,
well,
that's just where I feel. I'm not gonna.
Well, that's taking two separate approaches, like what you just said. They had to go along to get along. That was the mentality of George Washington Carver. All right, he said that we had to prove ourselves to show white people that we can do good and we can accomplish and we had to prove it. Where Frederick Douglass was basically saying, "I ain't got to prove
Thank you.
shit to you. All right, I am who I am. Okay, I know who I
Yeah.
am, and I agree with you. All right. So, but to go back to talk about the enemy within, all right, we talk about, let's say World War II, and we talk about the Nazis in Germany, and you talk about the concentration camps, all right, with the Jews and this and that. Do you know where they got all that? Or the like the Gestapo, who was the secret police, and then you had the SS, and you had all these the brown shirts was mainly in Italy, I think, and Mussolini, but I think they started in Germany, the
Yeah.
brown shirts. All right. So look at the comparison. Look at the brown shirts, and you got the Proud Boys. All
Hey,
right.
hold
Look
it.
at the
Hey, I want to
Gestapo.
ask you.
Hold on.
I'm asking you, did you pay your money for restitution so those January 6 people could get their reparations?
No, 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 no. I ain't got to pay shit. They took it. All right. You act like this is voluntary. This shit ain't voluntary. He took that shit, man. Hell. But anyway, you look at Gestapo with the secret police, those are the ICE.
That's what they
All
trying to
right.
put you.
They're a
Hey, hey,
private
hey,
police
hey, hey.
force with no rules and regulations. No, no, no. Let me get you. Let me get to the point though. We act like people are trying to compare us to them. Okay. But you got to understand where they got it from. They got it from us. Back in the 30s and 40s, Germany said, look how the United States are doing their black
Yeah.
people.
Okay.
Look how the United States is putting the Japanese in concentration camps. Look at how the United States, all right, are changing the rules and regulations to fit
Their narrative.
whatever they need to fit. They got it from this country. And now we're trying to say we're trying to copy them. No, we're just being ourselves. This country is just being
No, but
themselves as they always
what I was going
were.
to say is that, about the brown shirts and what the brown shirts did, they moved, they had, the way they did things was was horrible. But I don't know if you can compare them to ICE now, because ICE is just nothing but a bunch of assholes.
No. I'm not
Okay,
comparing the brown
okay.
shirts to
I know
ICE.
you're not. I'm just saying.
I'm comparing the brown shirts to the Proud Boys. I'm comparing the ICE to the Gestapo.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Well, the Gestapo just come in and bust in the house, arrest you anytime they feel like it, take you off, drag you off to prison, and you ain't never heard from again.
that's true.
But see, the Gestapo got that from us
But they refined how they did it.
years ago. Huh?
The way they did it, not trying to. I don't want to give them props for what they was doing because the shit was wrong. But I was just saying the way you got the.
No. I'm not giving
I'm
them
not saying you
props.
are.
I'm
I'm not saying
saying
you
that
are. You're just saying
the
they got it from us.
real Gestapo
What's us?
was us, and now
Well,
we just revisiting who we were
well,
before. But we're saying, but because of the way history was taught, was that Gestapo, Germany, they did that on their own. They didn't look at us and take it from us. History says that was their little bailiwick. That was their creativity. And actually, it was ours. So now when we look at ICE, it's just taken to another level. But the initiation actually came from us. Now, we may say, oh, they're looking like Gestapo because people around here don't know, because the lack of history, that Gestapo got it from us. So that's what we comparing it to them and say, you ain't got to be like that. Well, we are like
yeah.
that. We are who we
What
are.
I was going to say.
That's what I'm talking about, the enemy from
Okay.
within.
What I wanted to say is, when you say we, that.
I don't mean
Okay.
us. Come on, man. I'm
Okay.
talking in terms of the
Okay.
country. Oh man, you ought to know better than
Well,
that. I'm talking about America
I just want to
itself.
make sure it's clarity
No,
because
no.
we never treat people like that. But this country.
No, I'm not talking about black
this
people.
country, that's their mentality, and that's what they.
That's the mentality in general of this country. Okay, because when I say the Constitution
of
didn't want us
Europeans.
involved,
That's the mentality of Europeans. Period. If you really want to get down to
period.
brass tacks
Period.
of it, that's their mentality. Period.
Yeah, period. They divided up in Germany. I guess this was in the 1800s. France is a son of a bitch too. France, England,
Italy,
Netherlands, Italy,
Spain.
Germany, Belgium, Spain all got together talking about, we're going to divide up, Portugal mainly, we're going to divide up Africa. And, you go to another continent and you're going to divide up them people and tell them, okay, we're controlling this. Do you know the Congo, I think it's the Congo, is still paying royalties to France for getting their, what is that nuclear stuff, whatever, gosh, I can't think of it right now, whatever. Anyway, it's just so much, it's overloading the idea of there is so much. They owe us restitution,
Oh yeah,
bruh.
without a doubt, without a doubt. But they had. I think it's a world court. They had. I can't remember if it was 30-something countries that didn't vote on. The United States was one. Austria
That did what?
that said that slavery was wrong. They voted against it.
United States never said it. I think you talking about the three that said it was wrong?
No, the ones that said it was not wrong. They didn't vote. They
Wasn't
didn't
wrong. Yeah,
vote
the
for
United
that.
States. They didn't vote right. They didn't vote to chastise it. No, United States. I'm trying to think
It
of
was
the other
another
two. I can't think of the
Argentina.
other two.
It's in South America.
Argentina, yeah, Argentina, and
Mhm.
I want to say Belgium, but I might be wrong. Well, look at boy, he's on the case, man. I tell you, look at this man. I ain't never seen nobody with just see the steam coming from his head. That man's on the case. It's the Black Columbo. There was a time when Anthony didn't have a computer, and he would have to go down to the library, and in order for him to look this up, it would take him almost 6 weeks just to find the right book. Remember, how did we survive going to the library? You had to go through a card catalog.
I thought it was fun. I enjoyed that.
Oh, no. I'm talking about when you look at the way things are in comparison. We knew no better, so how could we not? We thought, hey, And one thing it did, it taught you how to research, and it gave you the discipline and patience to find things out.
Countries that didn't approve slavery.
Now he's checking AI. And as McMahon would say, she's the Secretary of Education, A1 for A. Come up with anything, bro?
Yeah.
Actually, what he's looking at is he's looking at his blood pressure results to see if he's okay.
Countries was not, what was it? Forced slavery, right?
It was I'm trying to think of the title of how they put it. It was what's they say for that? But as he looks that up, what we're talking about is, are we our own worst enemy?
We can be that. We can be our own worst enemy. When we
And how
we think like we do anything just to be accepted, we are our worst enemy.
yeah, that's one way. And another way is not just denying the truth, but strengthening the lie.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. We give it justification, and like you had brought up this secret slush fund Trump wants to have.
Yes.
And the Democrats would say that you don't know who's getting the money.
Why are we even having a conversation?
Would say, no, but the Republicans would say, as though they would talk as though it's already done. All right. Well, we'll never know, but I'm quite sure you're quite sure what. It's the same thing like the $250. Trump wants to put his picture on a $250 note. All right. He wants to put his picture on it. And I was listening to a thing last night, and they said, well, it's just a 250 celebration. It's no big deal. It's just whatever. And I heard a black guy say, one of the brothers say, and this guy is really mainly an anti-Trump guy, but he says, I don't even know why we're discussing this. It's taking our attention off of all the other things he's saying. And we don't even know if this will happen. Think about all the stuff Trump has said that didn't make no damn sense that is happening. You got the East Wing down to the ground. Matter of fact, it's underground right now.
Well, he want to put a hospital underneath.
You got
there.
His name on the Kennedy Center.
That's coming off.
Well, he wants more than that. He's got his name on the Kennedy Center. He's got his name, a picture of him over the DOJ, jail, Department of Justice, DOJ. All right, a big picture of him, Department of Justice. He's got his picture in the passport books. So yeah, it is something to be concerned about, because everything he's going after so far, the reflecting pool, he lied through his teeth about that. Talking about, I got a guy who does the swimming pools at one of my clubs. He'd be great. He says he can do the reflecting pool. And he coming back probably be $1 million, no more than $1 million, $2 million. Now it's up to $13 million. And now he's talking about, I don't even know who this guy is. All right. No, he's never done any work for me. I never met him. And now it's up to $13 million.
That's the asinine shit that, that can drive you crazy. He comes out his mouth, and the Republican, none of the shit he say or correct him on anything. Anything he say, they think is better than sliced bread. And
right. They just totally ignore it like it's not happening.
And I'm going to say this much, the head or whoever's supposed to be leading the Democratic Party, you said it before, I don't know what the hell they doing. I don't even know why they even in that position, because they ain't really doing shit.
I see, what is it? We've got running for governor in Georgia. There's a runoff between two Republicans. And then you got Keisha Lance Bottoms, who used to be mayor of Chicago. She won the Democratic side, right? So I've seen probably every other commercial, daytime commercial, talks about the Republicans. I've seen maybe 2 commercials on her, period, over the last week. And I see commercials on the Republicans every other commercial, it feels like.
Well,
every time you turn around.
Well, you should expect that, because they own most of the airway. And, so they're going to be there regardless. You'll see them more than, and that's their mentality. You know, since they spend all this money on putting their faces out there. So anytime you listen to the regular television, you think this is all you see, this is all you hear, and they believe in that, the more they push that narrative on you, you're gonna just cave and go along with them. You gotta stand tall on what you believe and who you want to vote for. And you gotta know what's bullshit and what ain't bullshit.
Okay, now, but what does that do? You got people out there, if they hear it enough, they know how to check that box.
Right.
All right. Now you got a Keisha Last Bottoms. You probably get one commercial a day out of her, if that, if that. Now, and you mean to tell me that they expect people to vote for her because other people are pissed off at Trump?
That you want to vote for her because
Then how is she going to get? She's not. No, but she's not getting anything out there to sway anybody. Now
wait, wait, wait,
I'm in a red state.
wait. So she's running for
Yeah.
office in Chicago.
No, she used to be mayor of Atlanta. She's running for governor of Georgia.
Okay. So
She's the Democratic nominee for the governor of Georgia. All right. The other two guys are going to be in a runoff, but you see them all the time. I see her maybe twice a week. All right. So how is she going to get herself out there? You know, Stacey Abrams, she ran for governor before. Okay. When Stacey Abrams ran for governor the first time around, she lost pretty good the second time around. The first time around, she came close, within probably a point and a half. She came close. But her butt, every time you turn the TV on or turn around on the news, you saw that big black woman doing a thing. You saw Stacey, whatever her name is. But you saw her Stacey Abrams. You saw her all the time, all around. And she came close. She came real close. But what is the Democrats doing now? This woman, and Stacey Abrams, she wasn't even in politics in Georgia. She came from someplace else to Georgia, but she stayed in your face. But what are they counting on? She's a Democrat, so if she'll get the Democrat vote, you need more than a Democrat vote to win in a red state. Way more. You got to stay in these people's faces. You got to stay in their face.
put out there what you're going to do, and you got to do a lot of grassroots stuff. You got to be out. That was one of the things they said Jasmine Crockett lost because she wasn't out there. She went for the black vote. She didn't go specifically for the black vote. She went to get out there just to get people. But the guy she ran with, he went for the black vote, but he also went for the Spanish vote too. And that's one of the reasons why
he went right. He hit the streets. He hit the streets. And plus, they wanted a fresh face. All right. Now, I'm not going to make the comparisons between Jasmine Crockett and this young guy. But the thing here in Georgia, it's another red state like Texas. You got to get in their face. And you know why? You got the senator here. Each state got two senators, right? Both our senators are Democrats. One of them's up for election. He needs to get out there more. He's doing good, but he needs to get out there more and push it. All right. In a red state, you got to be in front of them. There's a lot of people pissed off at Trump. All right. But if they don't know who you are, I voted in the primary when they had it about a week or so ago. I early voted in the primary. And I got in there and I saw these names in there under the list. And I'm like, who the hell are these people? All right. I may have known one or two people. Nobody got their ass out there to make a difference. Who are these people? Like, okay. And remember I told you about the congressman out here? The only time you see him when he runs for office, okay? And you asked me, yeah, what was his name, whatever? Well, his name was still on the ballot. And he died 2 weeks ago, or 2 weeks before okay? And he probably got more votes than anybody on the freaking list. I'm telling you, man, unreal. There are certain positions the Democrats will get, But the ones that really, really have power and that can make a difference, you got to get off your ass and you got to hit the pavement.
Yeah, you do.
You can't be right now the Democratic Party is their own worst enemy. Why? People are so mad at Trump, they're mad at the Republicans, but then when you bring up the Democrats, they go, oh shit, they ain't even done nothing to even know I'm around. They're not putting nothing out there. And the midterms is coming up. You should have something running 24/7. Man, it's ridiculous. And people say, oh, they got a good chance. Yeah, you got a good chance when people are mad at the Republicans. But if you don't get their attention, what makes you think the Republicans is going to vote for you? They might not vote at all. Or they may say, well, and if you ever hear a Republican talk, they say, well, yeah, my guy is bad, but at least he ain't a Democrat.
And they right. They right. Got a good point.
And they right. And these people are mad. And the Republicans are not really putting on a lot of town halls, because when they put on a town hall, they get their behinds roasted real bad.
That's why they're not doing it.
All right. And when they put it on, there should be a Democrat following right up outside. Hey, I'm running for that office. I'll take his place. But do you see that? No. They're sitting at home eating spaghetti, I guess, going, where to go? Well, they're in church with the choir.
Yeah, yeah.
But the enemy is us. And I'm not talking about anybody in particular. I'm talking about the country as a whole. The enemy is us. We could talk about us as the people. The enemy is us. And a part of that due to our lack of knowledge on history and not demanding enough of ourselves and of our people.
Because it ain't like you can't get.
Not letting.
It's not like you can't go out there and get this information. If this information is out there, you just have to go get it.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you got a lot of places, black companies or people willing to have you prescribe to their newsletter, and they'll give you a lot of the history that you don't know. So it ain't like you is lost.
Yeah.
You just have to get off your ass and go get it. And that's if you want it.
Yeah, there's this one guy. This one white guy, he's giving that historical information. I see him on
YouTube,
Facebook. And I'm like, wow. I mean, he hits you with some real, he talks about the Constitution more than the Constitution, but who the founding fathers really were, what their thoughts were, how did they defend it or not defend their thoughts, the lies that they told or the game that they played or whatever. And I'm like, damn, he gives you the real history. Now, he's got a book coming out, so I ordered it when it comes out on audio, and I want to see, what's behind it.
What's the name?
I got another book on, I can't think of his name right now. When it comes out, I'll let you know, okay?
Okay.
I got to look it up. And I'm not like you. I don't have a card catalog for the library at my disposal.
Hey, some of us got it, some of us don't. What can I say?
I can hear the choir
What can
singing.
I say?
Yeah, okay. But there's another book I'm listening to. It's just there's so much out there.
It is.
And if there's a young black lady out there too on Facebook, and she's really good. There's a lot of good voices out there right now. And the sad part about it, you're not hearing it from the politicians.
Well, you can't.
That's the sad
You're not going
part
to hear
about
from
it.
them. As I said before, if you really want the truth, you got to go out there and search for it. You do. I mean, because we could get lazy and comfortable. I will sit back. I got my computer here, laptop here, and I can go in and search. This is what we got to do. You got to go if you wanted some information.
But
and there's a lot of people out there giving this information.
But that's what I'm talking about, Anthony. Well, you can go on Facebook and just let it scroll, let it go. I mean, and when the bullshit comes, just
bypass it.
Swipe it on by. But there's a lot of good information that's coming to us on Facebook. And you hit bam. You just scroll the bullshit on by. When the good stuff come in, and you're like, wow. And some of that good stuff come in, it lasts more than 30 seconds. That shit will last sometimes 5, 10 minutes or more, but you're getting all this good
Yeah.
information and it making you think, you
You
know.
just got to be open enough to when you hear it, you can
But see,
receive it.
and not look for junk.
No, because
And not look
that's
for junk. You know what I
easy to
mean?
do. That don't take no work to do some
Right.
shit like that.
When the ads come through or the AI bullshit, swipe. You want information, you know. And then you write down these people's names and you said, okay, you follow and you see if they keep bringing you information.
I send you
All
the
right. Education, you know what? Education has always originally been by word of mouth.
yeah. I sent you that little clip where the guy had the black guy.
With the slaves.
Two
With the
white
slaves, and
slaves.
he had his man. You know what? And then he said to the brother, the brother cop, yeah, brother, you should be asking me questions. You should, boy, he didn't say nothing. That brother didn't want to say nothing.
He didn't even come
He
close
just
to him.
shut his mouth. That
He
was
stood
funny.
back. He said, "Nah."
No, he stayed away. Yep.
He said, "Nah, I ain't
That
getting caught
was
up in this
funny.
bullshit."
That
'Cause that's
really
just what
was.
this is. Bunch of bullshit.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That was funny. That was a good one. And it's amazing that sometimes you come up with good stuff, Anthony. I'm surprised. Each week you bring information to the masses. Most of it is okay, but you're trying real hard.
Oh, well, I appreciate the uplift is well appreciated. Most especially coming from somebody like you.
Hey, before we end our show, are we gonna pass the plate and let the choir sing a song or two,
Why
or
the hell
what?
not?
What we gonna do?
Why the hell not? Let him.
Anthony's a booger. Anthony. Never mind.
See,
Anthony, thank you, man. I appreciate
I
you,
see you
brother.
don't cross that threshold on Sundays.
Well, lightning hurts, even when it strikes near you. You know what I mean? I don't want to get it. I already got one crack in my behind. I don't want another one. You know what I mean?
No, you don't need no more. That one you got is enough.
No, no more. But you know, I appreciate you, brother. And
Same here.
and things just a lot of people we didn't want to talk about anybody needing some mental therapy. 'Cause a lot of them now you're hearing stuff about how the Republicans, people who support them may need mental therapy, this and that. And then people say, why you gotta be like this? It's just you look at a president that causes a lot of shit. And then when somebody else says something smart ass, they get mad at him and say, why you got to be like this? Why you got to be like this? The Republicans get on their little high horse and he say, well, look what your boss said. Well, you know, that's how he is. Well, that's not good enough. It's not good enough.
That don't give you the right to do the things you
know.
do and nobody else can call you on it.
Right. Hey, question. He's gonna have that coming up in a couple of weeks. That WWE fight at the White House cage match. That is the most for a 250-year celebration. That is the most egotistical shit I've ever seen in my life.
Hey,
You know,
look who's president.
ridiculous.
Do you expect anything else?
Right. That's showing respect to the Constitution, right? Which everybody brag about. But if you ever think about something, you never hear him talk about it. He don't never say.
He's not going to talk about it. He's going to talk about what he thinks is important, and everybody else going to say that shit is
Right.
old. That shit don't work. But in his mind,
Yeah. I mean, you look at it. You got a war. He says we're close to a deal with Iran. But you watch it. That deal's gonna be shit. You watch it. It's gonna be shit if they sign it. In other words, he ain't gonna come close to Obama. Not even close. And as a matter of fact, I think we ought to think about maybe, I don't know how to say this. Now he said he had love for the North Korean president, right? He said we send love letters to each other. I think he kind of got a thing for Obama and Biden on the side because he can't never get them out of his mouth, you know?
everything he do is about trying to overdo whatever Obama done, and everything he do wrong,
Yeah.
he want to blame Joe Biden for it. And Joe Biden been gone for the last 2 years. You don't hear nothing about it, not a thing.
Wow. But he's got a hard on for them, boy. I think that guy. I think he's at night. He's up whacking himself while he's on while he's on social media, one hand typing, the other whacking. I mean, this guy is just, he can't get them out of his head.
I don't think he's whacking. I think he's just watching porno. That's all. Because that shit don't work. That shit don't work. That shit been dead. You hear me? Been dead. It's done.
Well, he sure act like he got a hard on for them.
Yeah, he do.
But anyway, yeah, he
I agree
do.
with you on that.
That man is lost,
Yeah.
man.
All right.
Yeah.
We're going to run
Well,
over time.
That's another show, my
Yes.
brother. Yeah. And so what? But anyway, this is Mended Men's Conversation. And my
And
name
I'm
is
Anthony
Titus Garnett.
Washington. And we'd like to see if you can join us next week. Got an opinion? Got something to say? Come on. Like I said, it's just a conversation. This is not
Bring
therapy.
it.
Think of it as, we two old friends and you just chopping it up. That's all.
And if you need therapy, you contact Garnett Counseling at gmail.com. Garnett, Garnett, counseling, COUNSELING.com, COM. Now, I know sometimes Anthony may say .com and he spells it CAM, but don't go by that.
You're telling on
CO.
yourself, buddy. You're
Okay.
telling on yourself.
Ant-Man, see you next week,
All
my
right,
brother.
dude. Be
See you next
cool.
week.
All right,
Take
later.
care.
That's a wrap on today's episode of Mended Men's Conversation. If something we shared resonates with you, don't keep it to yourself. Share this episode with someone who needs it. Remember, healing is a journey, and you don't have to walk it alone. Stay connected with us, subscribe to the podcast, and join the conversation online. Until next time, keep growing, keep healing, and keep building your legacy.